G'day mates, how's it going? I'm Mr. GT, welcome to the channel. Well, the time has finally come for me to give away the Racebox Pro. We've hit our 1,000 subscribers and as promised, I'll be giving it away. So this video is going to have information on how you guys are going to win this. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the AMG E55 compressor, 2005 model, my own car, and we're going to be talking about how you guys are going to win this Racebox Pro. So what's going to happen is I'm going to talk about my history of car ownership. So I'm going to talk about all the cars that I've owned, and then at the end of the video I'm going to ask a question which you guys are going to have to answer in the comments, and you have to be a subscriber only, and then all the correct answers, I should say, are going to get a number on them, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to how many correct answers there are, and then those numbers are going to go in a draw in another video, which will probably be next week, at the end of the week next week, and I'll draw out the number, and then the number that corresponds to the correct answer, the number that I gave it, is going to be the winner. So that's how we're going to go about it. So listen up as I talk about the cars that I've owned, because at the end of the video there will be the question. Okay, first car that I owned, I was 21 years old, and I bought an XA Fairmont K-Code 351 two-door coupe, which after a few years was transformed into an XA GT lookalike. It did have all the running gear from the beginning. It had the 351 engine, had the FMX gearbox, and it had the 9-inch diff. 9-inch diff had 275 ratios in the back, which is the automatic version diff. All the automatics got a 275, and later on, as I said, I transformed that car into an XA GT. So I ended up pulling out the FMX and putting in a top loader gearbox, and then I built a very big engine for it. Jim from Crawlton Autosports back then used to build engines for all sorts of cars, including the old school Cleveland V8s, Chevys, everything. Anyway, he was the guy that built my engine. Had roughly 500 horsepower. We had put steel rods in it, 454 rods, so they were longer rods, but a shorter piston. It wasn't stroked. They were Childs and Alberts actually, the brand. We had the forged pistons. We had a roller cam in it. Had a big manifold and a Holly 850 double pumper annular discharge carby, and that was painted in red pepper. Originally it came out in a maroonish sort of a colour. It had a white vinyl roof. I took the white vinyl roof off it and sprayed it in red pepper with the black, exactly how the G2s were. Had all the GT stuff in it. The interior was all GT. Well, it was a Fairmont anyway. The only thing I had to replace was the dash, so I put the GT dash in it. The rest was all complete inside. I had white Simmons on it originally, and then I ended up getting the gold mesh type Simmons. So that was the first car that I had, and I had that car for around about 14 years, 15 years actually. And then after that car, I wanted to get something original. So I ended up getting a 1988 HSV Group A VL Commodore, which were called the Walkinshaws, because Walkinshaw from England was the guy that built those cars. So they were called the Walkinshaw. that car was stock standard and I didn't touch it. Had the stock exhausts. I even had the little steel plate that goes in the throttle bodies. It wasn't in there, but I had it spare, and I had even ended up buying the last brand new stock exhaust for it, so that if the exhaust I had on it was to deteriorate, I was going to end up putting the new exhaust in it. But that didn't need to happen, as after 3 years I sold the car with 33,000 kilometres. The car had 29,000 when I bought it. I ended up doing about 4,000 kilometres on it, and then I ended up selling it because I had to move to Greece. So that car was a fantastic car to drive, one of the best cars I've ever driven. Like the feel of it, the steering, the handling, beautiful. VLs are a very, very good car, even till today's standards. To drive that car was sensational. Beautiful to drive. You know, decent power for a stocker, nothing near the 500 that I had before. But it was a very, very nice car to drive. It was original, and I thoroughly enjoyed that car, I have to say. Now, I used to work for Telstra, so I had a van. I was a Telstra technician, so I had a van to get around in from the company, and I used to pay $15 a fortnight so that I could have private use of it. So that's how I could have my XA coupe as a weekend car, and also the VL Walkinshaw. That's how come I only had low kilometres on it, because I had the work van to get around. But then I ended up leaving Telstra. So what happened was, I didn't want to drive the VL around everywhere, the Walkinshaw. So I ended up buying my third car, an XD 4.1 litre, or 250 as we say back in the day, cubic inches. Just a stock car to get around in for everyday use, for work and all that. So that was my third car. So I ended up selling both of those cars when I left for Greece. Now, when I went to Greece, I wanted something fast, but I couldn't get a V8 in Greece, because in Greece they have a law, a funny tax law with cars. So depending on how big your engine is, your tax is determined by that. For example, if you own the 5 litre V8, you have to be making roughly 100,000 euros a year. Now, if you don't make that 100,000 euros a year, you're going to end up paying tax as if you made 100,000. So if you made 50 and you said to the tax man, look, I've only made 50 grand, you know, why am I getting charged for 100,000? He's going to say, well, you own a 5 litre, so you automatically have to go in the 100,000 a year tax bracket. So as you can see, it was very hard for me to get a V8. There's no, I was going to make 100,000 euro a year. So I ended up getting a 2 litre, because a 2 litre was something like around 20,000 a year, which was reasonable that you had to make. So I ended up getting a 2000 brand new WRX. So Subaru Impreza WRX. That was brand new in the year 2000. That was the year that I moved over to Greece. So that was the car that I had to get around in Greece. It was the blue colour, 4-door, and Jim from Cordon Auto Sports came to Greece for a little holiday, and he came to visit me, so I ended up asking him if he could bring me an exhaust. So it had a 5-zigging exhaust. We ended up putting a Blitz boost controller on it, a Blitz blow-off valve, APS induction kit, and we ended up getting and a VF23 turbo, So we ended up getting roughly 320 horsepower with that thing. And I ended up keeping the car for 15 years while I was in Greece. And I also bought a little Peugeot van in Greece for my work. But the WRX was my weekend car over there as well. So I had quite a bit of enjoyment with that. Because most cars are 4 cylinders in Greece. So I was probably like one of the fastest cars over there. What else did the WRX have? I ended up doing about 150,000 kilometres on it. And then I came to Australia. When I went back there for holidays, because the car had sat around for a long time, I started it up, drove it around a few days, and then I was on my way to Athens, a bit of a long trip, a couple 100k kilometre trip, and I ended up blowing the engine. So I sold the car without an engine, and I came back to Australia, obviously. At the end of that holiday, one of my cousins lent me his car. I'm very grateful to him, Mr. Nick from Greece. My cousin gave me his own car to get around. And anyway, in Australia, as I returned, I wanted to get back into my V8s because I'm a V8 man. I love the sound of the V8s. I love the torque of them. Yes, there is the V10, there are the V12s, but my favourite engine is the V8, and I love the sound that the V8 makes. It's got its own type of sound. So I ended up buying this car, the AMG E55, 2005 compressor model. This is stock standard. You've seen a few videos of it in the history of the channel, and that's where I'm currently at. So they're all the cars that I've actually owned. Okay, so to recap, my first car was the XA Ford Fairmont. The second car was the VL Walkinshaw. The third car was the XD. The fourth car was the WRX. The fifth car was my work van in Greece, the Peugeot. And my sixth car is the AMG E55 compressor, 2005 model. Okay, ladies and gents, so this is where you come in. You have to answer the following question. Which car was my fourth car that I owned? And I owned that car in Greece, that's the hint. Which was my fourth car that I owned? Leave your answer in the comments. Come on, bus, what are you going to do? Well, already wants to turn left. So leave your answer in the comments, and all the correct answers are going to get a number next to the answer. When I do the separate video of drawing out the winner, all those numbers are going to go in a draw, and I'm going to pick out a number. So whoever had that number next to their name that had a correct answer, and you have to be a subscriber, is going to be the winner. So we have until 11:59 p.m. Friday, the 10th of September 2021 to answer the question. At 11:59 p.m. on the 10th of September 2021, the contest closes, and after that is when I'm going to do a separate video of the winner. Now, I have to note that is Sydney time. So So Sydney, Australia time, 11:59 p.m. September the 10th, 2021. So good luck, ladies and gents. Get down and answer those questions. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your support. Once this COVID's over, well, not the COVID actually, the lockdowns are over, I'll be going back to my usual videos, so stay tuned for that. Probably in about a month's time, hopefully it'll finish. So once again, thank you very much for watching and for your support, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.